Hello, everyone, and welcome to Police Off the Cuff Real Crime Stories. I'm your host, Bill Cannon, and I'm here really just to sort of promote Monday's show, but I want to let you know of some of the changes we have coming up on the Police Off the Cuff. Specifically, we're starting a website. We're trying to get a little more sophisticated on Police Off the Cuff, and our main show will, of course, be on YouTube, but it's going to be carried also on YouTube and Facebook Live as usual. And we really want you, if you love this show, you like this show, to join our Patreon. And you can join our Patreon at that address, www.patreon.com/policeoffthecuff. And also, we're on Instagram. That's our Instagram address. And if you really love this show, please join our YouTube, become a member of our YouTube. And we're coming up with 2 to 3 shows a week. On Wednesday nights, I've been doing a show apart from Police Off the Cuff called To the Point with NYPD Sergeants Benevolent Association President Ed Mullins. And we're taking on some of the topics of the day, and he's really going after these woke politicians in New York City. You know who I'm talking about, the defund the police type. There's going to be a mayoral election soon, and we really want to let these mayoral candidates know that we don't appreciate their wokeness. And we especially don't appreciate when they say anything about defunding the police. To me, anyone that says defund the police should not be a politician. They should be working for the Department of Sanitation or something like that. They don't belong in politics, and they should take a walk. So as I said, we're really trying to pick this show up. Please become a subscriber on our YouTube. We're at, I think, 3,300 now. We need thousands. We want to get to 10,000 soon. And the only way we can do that is with your help. The guest we're having on this Monday at 7 o'clock on the Police Off the Cuff episode is a Dr. Richard Schoerberl, who's a professor in Tennessee. But much more than that, he's a retired FBI agent with over 25 years of service. He also worked for the CIA. And one of the things he is an expert on is human trafficking. And that has become a huge, huge problem in this country. As you could see at the border, there is nothing stopping people coming across the border. And these people aren't just coming from South American countries. They're coming from Middle Eastern countries. So there's no vetting these people. So what that equals is gang members and terrorism and some other things. Obviously, we talk about human trafficking. And I'm in no way an expert in human trafficking, but Dr. Richard Schoerberl is. And I'm looking forward to that episode because he's going to educate us. And what I found out is human trafficking involves exploiting men, women, or children for the purposes of forced labor or commercial sexual exploitation. And there's a difference between that and human smuggling involves the provision of a service, typically transportation or fraudulent documents, to an individual who voluntarily seeks to gain illegal entry into a foreign country. So you can see that and see the problems in regards to cartels, organized crime, sexual exploitation of children and women and men for that matter. And it's a big problem. There's not enough people on the border control, and there's not enough people investigating these crimes. You talk to anyone, the smallest little states have a problem with human trafficking. And why is that? Why are they having a problem with human trafficking? I'd like to share this video with you, this occurred on April 30th. And this was in Houston, and I think the video will speak for itself. I'll just have to add it to the... Okay.
More than 90 people discovered inside one home. Some of the people found saying they hadn't eaten in quite a while. This all happened in Southwest Houston on Chessington Drive, just off the Beltway near the Southwest Freeway. Jason Miles is live near the scene with what neighbors are telling him. Jason.
Hey there, Mia. Yeah, we hear this kind of thing a lot in these types of situations, but neighbors in this area do seem truly surprised by what has unfolded here today. They never suspected anything criminal was going on inside a house just down the block from where I'm standing.
Houston police say a typical two-story home in the Southwest Houston neighborhood hid a secret until this morning.
When we got into the house, we realized that there were over 90 people inside.
More than 90 people, made up of about 5 women, 85 men, but no children, found huddled in 2 separate areas, some in need of food, water, and medical care.
We are concerned that there may be some positive COVID cases inside the house.
Police say the discovery came hours after a kidnapping tip from a possible relative of one of those rescued. SWAT teams then entered the house after a few hours staking it out.
It's horrible. It's horrible. It's heartbreaking. I feel sorry for the people. I would certainly want the ones who are involved in this to have to pay a penalty. It's cruel.
Some neighbors tell me they saw one woman taken into custody and thought only 2 people lived here.
I walk every day with my kids in the evenings. I've never seen anything out of the ordinary in that house, ever. It's always very clean outside, very well taken care of. So it's surprising.
Homeland Security Investigations, or HIS, confirms it's working with HPD to investigate what it calls a suspected stash house. Right now, there's no information regarding where the men and women originated or what may have been planned for them.
And people like this are preying on people because of the situations that they're in. And that's terrible. It's going to continue to happen, but we are going to have to do what we can to try to put a stop to it as much as we can.
Unbelievable, right?
Like I mentioned, this all started.
How would you, let me just turn that down. How would you not notice in your neighborhood that 90 people somehow entered a house that was right next door to you? How would you not know that? But the fact, like, who is allowing this? Who is allowing this type of thing to occur? Who's bringing these people into, this happens to be Houston, but I'm sure it's any city, USA. Is it organized crime? Government officials and politicians have to be allowing this to occur. And it can be baffling. It is definitely baffling that in this house, there were 90 people. I think that at least 4 or 5 of them had the symptoms of COVID. So they were brought into this, or somehow they were smuggled into this country, given false papers. And it's got to be by cartels or organized crime. And what is their destination once they get into this country? Of course, they're going to take jobs that maybe Americans refuse to take. However, there has to be government officials allowing this to happen. And there has to be organized crime involved in this. And I think it's pretty pathetic when you think about it. Sergeant Peter Lavin, a retired NYPD's on the air. He says he had some of these stories when he was in Vice. Nobody wanted to touch it because the government right now is sitting on the fence. They're sending mixed signals. They're allowing people to pour across the borders, and then Border Control that really doesn't know what to do. These small towns on the Texas and California border with these small police departments are just overwhelmed. They don't know what to do, and they're not getting any leadership. Robert 123, crimes against children should be punishable by death, swift and sure. I mean, I agree with you. Those type of crimes are so egregious and so horrendous. But when you're talking about drug cartels that have no conscience, no morals whatsoever, this is a small crime to them. You know, most of the people that were crossing the border illegally were children, and many of them had relatives in this country. So they're going to be instant welfare recipients or social service recipients as soon as they get into this country, because they don't speak the language, many of them. And law enforcement is at a loss because there's no, as I said, there's no leadership from the government. So when we talk about, you know, what is human trafficking? Human trafficking, sometimes the women that are trafficked are brought here specifically to work in massage parlors, or they're brought here specifically to work in the sex trade, and that's pretty disappointing. It's pretty horrendous, you know. And on many occasions, they're forced here, and they don't know what their destination is going to be, and they wind up in a crime situation. And in the 90 people that they found in that house in Houston, as I said, there were many positive COVID cases. The police were called there on a call of a potential kidnapping. And so when you have 90 people in a home, and most of them don't speak English, Most of them have no idea where they're going. They hadn't even been fed. They were all hungry. There was no food in that house. They hadn't eaten. So what was the game plan on this? Many of them were just taken away in buses to go to another destination. They were processed in our country. But look, I was an investigator. I was 27 years on the NYPD. 16 years of those, I was in the Detective Bureau. My last 10 years in Manhattan North Homicide Squad. Every single person there, they have to do an investigation on. They have to do what's called a victimology or a backgroundology, if you would rather think of it that way. Some not so easy to do a background on someone that has no record and has no papers and no legitimate reason to be in this country. But the police and the Border Patrol, of course, they recognize that this is a huge problem, and they have to do something about it. They had to give all these 90 people medical care. Now they have to quarantine because if 4 or 5 of them were COVID positive, it's potentially all 90 of them could be COVID positive. There was no children. So all of these 90 people, the youngest was in their 20s. So as I said, the difference between these people, according to the Houston chief, they were not trafficked. They were smuggled. So they were smuggled there for some type of reason. Did they already have jobs lined up? Were they going to be working in the fields? Were they going to do manual labor? So they all, and you got to realize, you think about even like indentured servitude. They could be coming over here just specifically brought here to work a low-wage job. And for that, they'd have to pay the cartel or whatever organized crime member brought them over here. Out of the 90 people, there were 5 females there. How would you like to be a female in a house with 85 males? You think that would be a little uncomfortable? I think it probably would be, you know. The people, as I said before, had no food and water. Yeah, yes, Leah Power in our chat. You're right. Smuggled equals trafficked, but they do differentiate it. And I spoke about the definition in regards to it before. Trafficking it involves the exploitation of men, women, and children for the purpose of forced labor or commercial sexual exploitation. Smuggled involves the provision of a service, typically transportation or fraud. So the cartel or the organized crime people are providing fraudulent documents so they can get into this country and work a job. It's not so difficult these days to obtain a social security card, but yet to get that new identification, there's a new license that you need to get if you want to fly. I think come October, without having to go through the whole take off your shoes and all of that stuff, the whole interrogation by Homeland Security. I remember when I thought that I got that new license, they sent me home because I didn't have my Social Security card with me. But yet I had specific tax documents. So I'm born and raised in the United States, and they sent me home. And yet a lot of these people coming in have fraudulent documents. Look, I'm not trying to make this political, but part of protecting, the number one thing that you want government to do is provide public safety. And how is this providing public safety for people when they're just unvetted? The people are sneaking into this country, unvetted. It's just incredible. If anyone in the chat has any questions they want to ask, because as I said, on Monday, we're going to have Professor Dr. Richard Schoerberl, who teaches down in Tennessee, who is a retired 25-year veteran of the FBI. And he's also worked for the CIA. And he actually runs an organization that prevents human trafficking. I had remembered that when I taught at a college in Westchester, there was a detective who came to the school to speak to the students, to actually recruit them for his police department that the episode on Monday is at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it'll be on YouTube and Facebook Live. And it's going to be Mark DeMeo is my co-host, and as I said, we're interviewing retired FBI agent Richard Schoerberl. But a lot of these people that come into the country, I get back to the detective who came to the school that I was teaching at. He was from a small little city, and he said one of their biggest problems, and it was a shore town in the Carolinas. I won't specifically name the town because I don't want get anyone annoyed at me. But he said one of their hugest problems was human trafficking, and I was sort of like shocked by that. Human trafficking in this resort town, it's a huge problem. But you can think of all the countries around the world that people are living at the poverty level that will do almost anything to come to the United States. It's just incredible. So human trafficking, it's not just a problem in the largest cities. It's a problem all over. Leah Power asks, how can smuggling and trafficking be stopped? What can citizens do to help? You know, it's too simple for me to say vote out some of these people that just allow this, but that is one of the suggestions because our borders are porous as hell right now. That's P-O-U-R-O-U-S, right? People are just pouring through it. And what happens? Someone must be pushing this, maybe some large corporations that need low-price labor because people are pouring into this country. But because of these policies, people are exploited from all over the world. When we looked into the whole Jeffrey Epstein thing, where he had that pedophile island, a lot of very powerful people knew Jeffrey Epstein. And I think a lot of the public was looking forward to the day that he would go on trial, which was never to happen because Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide. But a lot of people flew on that, they called it the pedophile plane to his pedophile island. So if Jeffrey Epstein was doing it, this is going on all over the world. Robert123, even our Chief Justice is compromised. What better way to control a government official than to get them blackmailed with crimes against children? It's really a huge, huge problem. And again, anyone that hurts children deserves a special kind of hell in this world. 12-Step Woman says the public becoming more aware it's not conspiracy helps, hopefully. Yeah, I mean, the public has to get more involved and not just with voting. It's too easy to say, oh, vote those people out, but someone's allowing this. And I believe the people that are allowing it are elected officials. And along with that comes large corporations who need low-cost labor. And I think that's a criminal thing that this is occurring. But look, if you talk to the people on the California or the Texas border, some of these towns are overrun with this. And it's costing them billions of dollars to try to secure their borders, and they're not having any luck. Hello, Bill Ryan from Ryan Investigative Group. Robert123, 12-Step Woman. Janine Goodwin, hello, how are you doing today? Leah Power and Joshua is our producer. He's doing great work. Joshua is from California, and I met him through Duty, Ron, and Joshua's going to build a website for Police Off the Cuff, and we're going to see great things on this show. I'm already getting unbelievable guests. In fact, Tuesday I have Tommy Dades, and he already did one show for me, actually 2 shows. Tommy Dades wrote a book called Friends of the Family, and he, more than anyone else, is responsible for the arrest and conviction of the mafia cops, Louis Ippolito and Stephen Caracappa. And he's coming on the show Tuesday with my guest host, Phil Grimaldi. That's going to be like an unbelievable show. Tuesday, that's going to be at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's going to be Tommy Dades, retired first-grade detective, and Phil Grimaldi, also retired NYPD detective, will be my co-host. And on Thursday at 7 p.m., Eastern Standard Time, we have the Nassau County Police Commissioner, Patrick Ryder, coming on the show. Look at these guests I'm getting. Hey, I can't help it. People are attracted to us. They're calling me up and asking to come on the show, which is a great feeling to have people call you. I also do a lot of my own recruiting from different sites, LinkedIn, and I find a lot of people. But believe it or not, we're getting a lot of calls. So again, Monday, Richard Schoerberl, who is a retired FBI agent and expert on human trafficking, he's going to come on the show, and I don't think you should miss this show. And I'm going to really ask him some very difficult questions about human trafficking and about human smuggling. And we'll touch upon why is this happening? Why is it happening in a country like ours that has all the resources to stop this, but yet no one's stopping it? You know, it's being allowed to go on. So you got to think that it goes all the way to the top. You know, I know, look, Trump was building the wall, and the wall actually was discontinued. And so someone is allowing this human trafficking and this sneaking into the country without vetting the people that are coming through. You know, they talked about a lot about people can catch and release as if you're catching a fish, right? Catch and release, more or less, is that they process someone and they give them a date to come back for a hearing, and they never show up for the hearing. So basically now they're in this country illegally working, driving a car, obtaining a Social Security card, getting all the benefits of an American citizen, yet not being a citizen. And when you talk about who's paying for this, can you look in the mirror? That's exactly who's paying for this, you know. Michael McAuliffe says, open borders, civil unrest, what's the end game? Well, look, 9/11/2021 is the 20-year anniversary of the attacks on the World Trade Center. Myself and a lot of people that watch this show are first responders, and we take that very personally. And now, with porous borders, terrorists can sneak into this country quite easily. Gang members, you know, you're getting instant MS-13. And if you mention that to the incorrect political group, they'll deny that that's occurring. But if you talk to any Border Patrol guys, anyone in law enforcement, they'll tell you that that's 100% true, that, you know, people are sneaking across the borders. Richard Schoerberl, his resume, he managed and directed diverse teams of supervisory special agents and intelligence analysts on a global basis, and directed senior level briefings involving global counterterrorism investigations and national security issues. Personally supervised or directly involved in numerous international terrorism investigations such as 9/11, 2005 London bombings, 2006 London airline plot. Before these organizations, he worked as a special agent investigating violent crime, international terrorism, terrorist financing, cyber terrorism, and organized crime. He was also assigned numerous collateral duties during his FBI tour, including a certified instructor and member of the agency's SWAT program. In addition to the FBI and NCTC, he is an author and has served as a media contributor for Fox News, CNN, PBS, NPR, Al Jazeera Television, Al Arabiya Television, Al Huda, and Sky News in Europe. Additionally, he has authored numerous articles on terrorism and security. He is currently a professor of criminology and homeland security and works with Hope for Justice, a global nonprofit combating human trafficking. So if that's not one hell of a resume, I don't know where I'm going to find someone that's more of an expert on the topic. Folks, I know a lot of you guys that are in the chat right now, you're already subscribers to our YouTube channel, but just allow me to say that we got some really exciting stuff coming up. Our producer, Josh, is building us a website. We're going to get, of course, more and more and more involved in our Patreon and we're going to start a police off the cuff site where you can. We'll also have memberships, like when Duty Ron, who I'm trying to sort of mirror some of the stuff he does because he's so successful. You can become a channel member, and we're going to do some exciting stuff on the channel. Maybe even tell the joke of the day or the joke of the week, or maybe do 5 or 10 minutes stand-up comedy for select people. So we got some really, really, really exciting stuff coming on. Glenda Pospisil, your name is a little bit challenging for me to say. This bombing in Afghanistan is so terribly sad. Well, one of the things a lot of people disagree right now, and I don't know enough about it, but in regards to the U.S. leaving Afghanistan, some people feel that it's a buffer between us, the Afghani government, and the terrorists. To keep the terrorists honest, we should maintain a presence over there. Now, I don't know enough about the armed forces to comment about that, but many people who we've had on this show, they agree that we should keep some type of military presence in Afghanistan. Seems like we've been at war since 9/11, steadily, right? But that's it's coming up on the 20-year anniversary on 9/11 this year, 9/11/2021. Well, you folks that are in the chat right now, I really appreciate you coming by. I just wanted to do this to more or less pop up. I don't usually do a show out of nowhere, but I like to maybe promote Monday's show since it's going to be a great show. Josh just said, 12-step woman, you can ask in the comments section after the video. Police off the cuff will do his best to answer on the live stream. Yes, folks, whenever you have any questions or comments, you can post it. And if I don't get back to you while we're on the air live, I always answer on the YouTube after the fact. I always answer the comments people have. And I that's my way of interacting with our audience. And I enjoy it. I actually enjoy. Peter Lavin, Sergeant Peter Lavin, he's also retired from the NYPD. He just wrote, crime is up. Multiple people shot in Times Square. I haven't been following the news today. Of course, that's horrible. But if you've been following New York City, we got one of the worst mayors in the history of the city, one of the worst probably in the country. And there's going to be an election for mayor this year. And the 5 candidates who are running for mayor, they're equally as horrible as de Blasio. So I don't know what's going to happen to this city. All of the people that who are on the police department that have retired saw New York City from the 80s into the 90s into the 2000s, 2010s, when it was the safest large city in America. That's all been reversed in the past 7.5, 8 years by this Mayor de Blasio and some of these woke politicians that are on the city council. If you ever hear anyone say the term defund the police, they should immediately have no credibility in your mind. Anyone that says that, in my mind, is a moron. And I hate to use such strong language, but that's who they are. They have they want to take the money that they give to the police and give it to some social services as if that's going to stop crime or help fight crime. They just really need an education in what's going on. Anyway, there are some very, very positive things going on. Today, I actually attended a graduation party of my friend's daughter who just graduated from the police academy. And Tommy Kennedy gave a speech that was his daughter about how police work is a calling. And even in these difficult times, becoming a police officer is a life's calling. It's not a job. And you have to be ready to put yourself in harm's way in order to defend people who you don't even know. But that's why we call it a calling, the police. Folks, I'm going to probably get ready to sign off right now. I just wanted to give you a little touch of what we got coming up. And as I said, Monday, Dr. Richard Schoerberl. Tuesday, the great Tommy Dades from Friends of the Family, his book. Phil Grimaldi will be the co-host with me. And Wednesday, not on Police Off the Cuff, but on To the Point, I'm on with SBA President Ed Mullins, also at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we're going to have the Buffalo, New York president of the PBA is going to be on with us. We've been bringing in all the top PBA presidents from all over the country. We've had Dallas, we've had Seattle, we've had I'm trying to think of some of the other ones, Minneapolis, Milwaukee, and now we have Buffalo coming on. All the cities that have the most problems. Oscar Ferrafino, great Oscar, Sergeant Oscar, retired from Queens Homicide. Always great to see you here, Oscar. Robert123, thank you. I really appreciate. God bless Bill Cannon, chat family. See you all Monday. Everyone on this chat, we appreciate you. Mark DeMeo, appreciate you. And I just want you guys, I'm so happy that you're members of the Police Off the Cuff family. And thank you so much for following us. Good night, everyone. And thanks for listening.